Hello all, and welcome to the December 2020 USA EarthMC elections. I'm your host, Big Red, and I'm here with Apple Soup.
Hello, welcome to the live stream, everybody.
So this month we saw a presidential race starting with multiple candidates such as Kiwi, Greek, Hambell, and Magnum. And later on it got reduced to just a race between Greek and Magnum. This is following an intense debate between Hambell and the other two candidates. Would you like to play the footage from that?
Yes, speaking of the debate that happened on Friday, in case you missed it, we have a clip from the debate where things got a bit heated between Hambell and Greekenderman. Let's take a listen.
You're just running for the fun of it. You're not.
Yeah, I am, because it's a game. You're taking things too seriously, and you've said some pretty damn racist shit, and you said some fucked up shit about genocide.
Now, as we said before, this debate ultimately ended up with Hambell dropping out of the race and endorsing I'm Magnum. So this definitely influenced the results of these elections we're going to see tonight. The original polls had Magnum up by a slight margin. So these results of the debate may have sealed a victory for Magnum, but for the true results, we will literally just have to wait and see. So tonight we are going to be using a map that has all the different states. You can see here all of the uncolored states means that we do not have any results in. There are some territories where we may not get any results due to no people voting. This election does not have any electoral college. We are just looking at the states to see the data and the demographics of the nation and to better predict who is going to end up winning later in the night.
Well, to start us off for tonight, we have our first state that's just been called, and that is the state of America. With 4 total ballots counted, 4 of them went to Magnum and 0 of them went to Greekenderman, which means that Magnum has won the state of America. Taking a look at our electoral map, as you can see, the first state that's been called tonight, the state of America, has turned blue for Magnum. Magnum now has 4 total votes, with Greekenderman with 0. Back to you, Big Red.
So these results to many are not surprising at all. The former president, Bidav, is an extremely dedicated member of America, and due to Bidav's endorsement of Magnum, I think that everybody expected these results. The one thing that is unexpected is the number of people who voted. Back 2 months ago when the union was formed between America and New Jersey, they were the 2 biggest and the 2 only states. So to see a change in demographics of people migrating away from America to places like out west is very interesting. And that means that later in the night, when there are results that are going to be out west, it likely means that those results are going to be also pro-Magnum. So early in the night already, it is looking very advantageous to Magnum.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but we do have our first results for the first territory tonight, and that is the territory of South Carolina. With 1 ballot, that vote went to Magnum, meaning Magnum has won the territory of South Carolina. Taking a look at the electoral map, as you can see, the territory of South Carolina has turned blue for Magnum. This gives Magnum 5 total votes and Greekenderman 0. Back to you.
Once again, similar to the American results, this is just not surprising at all, especially because you only had one person, most likely the governor of the territory, who voted, where that governor, who I believe is Nemesis Clan, is also extremely he's very related to America. He shares many of the same values, and so it is likely that for the coming elections, we're going to see those 2, that state and that territory, have very similar voting results.
Yeah, and speaking of results, we have our next state in, and that's the state of Palmetto. With 3 total ballots that were casted, 3 of them went to Magnum and 0 of them went to Greekenderman, declaring Magnum the winner of the state of Palmetto. Taking a look at the updated electoral map, as you can see, 3 states and territories have gone to Magnum so far tonight, giving Magnum 8 votes and Greekenderman 0. Back to you, Big Red.
So once again here, I don't think that many people are surprised to see Greek winning, I mean not Greek losing in Palmetto. It is similar to the other things, the other states and territories that were already called. It is very aligned with them. West Virginia, which is a core member of Palmetto, was in the Union during the early stages. It left briefly and then rejoined. So I don't think that many people are surprised here. I'm looking in our chat and I don't see anybody surprised. Beaverman said not expected. Oh, not unexpected. Oh, not unexpected. Yes, I read that wrong. Not unexpected. You see, this isn't surprising. However, right now, Greekman is off to a horrible start. If he wants to win this election, he is going to need to outperform in the states where he was expecting to do decent in the West. So I think that the real deciders of this election are going to be New Jersey and Minnesota. In New Jersey, most of the active population is very pro-Magnum, but you also have some newer players and some people that are slightly less active who may be pro-Greek, and that can skew the results away from Magnum. Even though in states like Jefferson, you may expect it to be very hardcore Magnum, due to Jefferson being one of those larger states with a similar value, and what I said before, with many people from America with those values moving out west to states like Jefferson, we are likely going to see a Magnum victory there.
Well, thanks for those thoughts, Big Red, but let's hear what Greekenderman thinks about this election. We have an interview with him. Let's just pull up our electoral map as we get that set up. We'll be back in a couple of seconds.
Currently, Magnum has been called to win in the states of Palmetto, America, and the territory of South Carolina. So,
Well,
how are you feeling confident?
I expected that I'd lose the states because they're strong, they're very loyal to Magnum, and generally they were also very loyal to Bleep Bloop. And I don't have any influence in those areas since I've never been there, so I expected that I lose the states, but I'm very confident in winning Minnesota, winning Washington DC, and the Union States.
What about Jefferson? Do you think you can win there?
Jefferson, no, because the governor doesn't really like me. But maybe I could get some votes from there. Yes.
Do you think that if you did win Minnesota and Union States, do you think it'd be enough to pull it off? In an entire race?
If they're clear landslides and they're not like just one vote difference, then maybe yes, I could get that.
Right. And how do you feel about New Jersey? Do you also think that's going to be very pro-Magnum?
New Jersey, of course, because all the influential, because the establishment, of Bleep Bloop, that didn't really like me, is in New Jersey. But I'm sure that I'll get some votes from New Jersey, but I'm not going to be able to secure the state.
All right. Do you have any other remarks you'd like to make, or that's it?
Well, I'm disappointed that it's 8-0 landslide from now, but I hope that things will turn around, and due to good performances in other states, I'll be able to turn this election and win.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, perfect timing, because our next state has just been called, and that is the state of Union States, with 2 total ballots, Greekenderman having 1 vote and Magnum with the other. That means that the state of Union States has been tied, meaning that it is inconclusive. Taking a look at the electoral map, as you can see, we've labeled Union States as purple. Now, this does not represent a win for Magnum, nor does it represent a win for Greekenderman. This signifies a tie between both parties. Back to you, Big Red.
So, as a sign for Greekenderman, this is a very good sign, because at the beginning of the election, you had literally a unanimous decision for Magnum. And now you have a state which you may have called a swing state, but I personally was under the notion that it was going to be pro Magnum. I did not expect to see a tie, where here we literally just saw a tie. This is a very good victory for Greek in a time where it looks dark, even though it is a tie, where he needs to turn the knight around, and this is a good stepping stool to do so. So this does see a way for him to have a path to win this election. However, it is unlikely, and I do not expect that we will see that.
Yeah, well, in the interview, New Jersey was brought up. And speaking of New Jersey, the state of New Jersey's results have just come in. Let's take a look at those. New Jersey with 9 total votes, 1 of them gone to Greekenderman, just like he predicted, and then 8 of them going to Magnum, which means that Magnum has won the state of New Jersey. Looking at the updated electoral map for the state of New Jersey, as you can see, it's turned blue for Magnum. Magnum now sits at 17 total votes, while Greekenderman sits at 2. Back to you.
So these results aren't expected for me. I'm the governor of New Jersey, so I'm pretty aware of the demographics of our state. We are one of the founding states, so most of our population is very pro the ideology, crowned quote-unquote bleeblobism, where Magnum is more of the bleeblobist candidate of the two. So this is a surprise to absolutely no one. This isn't looking good for Greek, because if he wanted to pull off a win, he would need to win a significant minority of New Jersey. He did not do this. He won a single vote. That single vote, it could be anyone who, could be somebody who wasn't educated on the election affairs, or just some random person. Like, it's literally one person. That's basically a unanimous decision from New Jersey, which is one of the biggest states. It was the state with the second highest voter turnout, I believe. So it's not looking good for him now. You saw in Union states he had a path to victory, but now that path is getting clouded. And I'm looking at the chat again. Most people are not surprised by these results in New Jersey. In fact, I saw one message from, I think, Dempy, where he was surprised that there was a single person who voted for Greek. So New Jersey is definitely can be categorized as one of the core quote-unquote bleeblobist states. And I think that you will see this trend in a lot of the older states in the Union.
Well, let's see if this luck continues for Greekenderman as we look at the results for the territory of Uruguay. With 4 total ballots, note, it looks like those 4 votes have all gone to Magnum. Looking at the electoral map, as you can see, Uruguay, it's located on the left side of the map. It's one of our overseas territories. As you can see, it's turned blue for Magnum. Magnum has won the territory of Uruguay. Magnum now sits at 21 total votes with Greekenderman 2. Back to you.
So these results also not surprising. Magnum had lived in Uruguay for some time with the people there, and so it is likely that these, even though they might not be the most active, they are definitely very pro-Magnum. And I think that this might have been one of the backbone states of Magnum. One of these, it was literally a unanimous state. It only had 4 votes, but out of these 4, literally unanimous. Like, there is physically no other way for these results to be more clear. And I think that this is definitely a big hurt for Greek, but even though this territory wasn't even discussed before tonight, it goes without saying it was already extremely pro-Magnum. So it isn't really a big loss, but it is just adding more of these votes to Magnum, where it's cementing his lead, and it's looking even more unlikely that we can see Greek pull through and win this election. I personally don't think he will be able to. However, there is still a chance. How many? I believe we have around. How many votes are in right now? Do you remember?
I was just kicked for idling. Great. You gotta love EarthMC. Anyways, let's look at the electoral map while we figure this out. Right now, Greek has 2 votes, as you can see. We're gonna be right back as we figure out these technical difficulties. Unfortunately, EarthMC had to kick us for being AFK. So
all right,
we'll be right back.
All right, we are back, and thank you for bearing with us through these technical difficulties due to EarthMC kicking Apple. So when we left off, we had just seen the results from Uruguay, which was extremely pro-Magnum, having a unanimous decision in favor of him. And what I was saying before is that these results, although they're not surprising, they do further cement Magnum in the lead.
Yes, and let's take a look at the next territory that's just been called while we were having technical difficulties, and that is the territory of Nevada. With one total vote, surprising, the vote went to Magnum. So Magnum has won the territory of Nevada. Looking at the electoral map, as you can see, Nevada, it's on the left side of the map. As you can see, Nevada has turned blue for Magnum. That's 22 votes for Magnum and 2 votes for Greekenderman. Back to you, Big Red.
Right, so once again, these results, not too surprising. As I was talking about before, we are seeing a huge surge in population in the West that is traditionally more Magnum leaning, or blue leaning, as we have this color right now, where I am not surprised by these results, and I predicted them earlier in the night. So what this does mean, however, is we have 22 votes in for Magnum already. Given the voter turnout of this election, we will need, in order for Greek to win, we will need very clear and almost unanimous support for Greek throughout the rest of the election in order for him to pull this victory. I do not think it is possible. I strongly think that he will lose this election. However, like I have said throughout the night, we will only have to just wait and see. There is no way of predicting it ahead of time. So
let's see, because Greek seemed to be very confident that he would win the state of Minnesota, and the results for the state of Minnesota have just come in. Let's take a look at those. As you can see, with 7 total ballots, 2 of them have gone to Greek. 5 of them have gone to Magnum. So kind of disappointing for Greek, but I'm sure he can live with it. Let's take a look at our electoral map. As you can see, so far, 27 total votes have gone to Magnum and 4 of them have gone to Greek. The map seems to be very, very blue right now. So we'll see if that pattern continues with the state of Jefferson. We're still waiting right now on the state of Jefferson. We're waiting on the territory of Erie, the territory of 13 colonies, and Hawaii. So we'll see if those states end up turning blue or red.
All right, well, honestly, this is a detrimental blow to Greek guy. If he wanted to win this election, he had to win Minnesota by a lot, because most of the other big states in this nation are extremely pro-Magnum. So if we want to see these results in favor of Greek, then we need to have him win Minnesota. Even if he did win, he would need to win by a lot, like I said before. Therefore, the results of him winning this are at this point practically impossible. And what this really means is Magnum's victory is practically cemented. There is almost no physical way for Greek to win this. But like I'm going to say this last night, we will just have to wait and see. And with Minnesota, this does mean in the future elections that it will be much more of a swing state than it will be a state that is solid in a single person's hands.
Yeah, and let's take a look at our next state. It's the state that's been long awaiting tonight, and that is the state of Jefferson. This is the most votes that we've received for any state or territory tonight, and that is a total of 10 ballots. 1 of them went to Greekenderman, and the other 9 went to Magnum. Magnum has won the state of Jefferson with 9 votes. Let's take a look at the electoral map. As you can see, there's a lot of blue. Right now, Magnum is sitting at 36 votes and 5 votes for Greekenderman. Now, we're looking at the remaining territories. It's unlikely that these territories will have results in due to their size. We'll see throughout the night as things come to a close, but it looks like Magnum might be winning this election. I don't see any possibility that things can turn around, unfortunately, for Greek. All right, and
So like I said before, not surprising. From the beginning of this, I was saying Jefferson is going to be extremely pro-Magnum due to the fact that it is a highly, I guess you could say the word conservative state in that it agrees with the fundamental ideas of the Union that have morphed into the ideology of Bidavism today. And if the results of Minnesota cemented Magnum's win, then I don't know what this did. I think it put it in a fridge to make it even more solid. Like, there is physically zero way for Greek to recover now, and I will expect the election to be called soon. There is just like zero way for Greek to somehow pull this out. So I'm going to switch gears slightly right now. We have Bidav here. He ran the election, and we're going to be asking him about election integrity. All right. So we are back. Thank you, Bidav, for joining us. So the first question today: to what extent was there attempted election fraud or interference in this month's election?
I think we threw out like 4 votes just because people didn't fill it out right, but besides it was pretty alright.
Do you think that in the future it is possible that we're going to have issues along those lines?
Probably, but there's a decent way of verifying votes, so we'll stick to that.
All right, and did the results tonight, did they surprise you? Did you expect Magnum to win by such a large margin?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for that, and we will now...
No problem.
Oh, bye. All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we are here with the winning presidential candidate right now, who is practically the results are already confirmed. We are just waiting for the exact confirmation. So Magnum, how do you feel about your victory?
I'm feeling pretty good. Going into this election, I kind of had the idea that this might be the case. I thought that Greek was going to do a lot better, but I mean, again, can't really get everything that you wanted. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good right now.
Did you expect to have such a lead in states that many considered to be swing states in Minnesota?
Honestly, I was going off my assumption, and especially what I've been hearing in chat, I thought that I was going to lose those states, but to see that it was such a big lean towards me was really surprising. I didn't expect that at all.
Right. So, if in the very likely case that you do end up winning and you'll be inaugurated tomorrow night, what do you believe is the first thing that you will do as president?
I believe the first thing that we need to do and work on is definitely foreign relations. Like I said in the debate and how I've been saying for a while, I believe after our war with Illinois and now with the NA Pact also helping, I believe that we need to further work on our relationships with them, with Illinois and Trimortem.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you.
The results are in, and it is confirmed that Magnum has won the United States election and will be serving as your president starting in December.
Woohoo! All right, so we see it here. Magnum has confirmed win. He won every single state and territory except for Union States was a tie with a total of 36 votes versus Greekenderman's 5. Percentage-wise, that equates to about 89% of the vote. That is a landslide vote if I have ever seen one. It is the most decisive vote in the history of our nation, even beating out the popularity of the former president, Bidav. So, these results are extremely decisive. I don't think anybody tonight expected, even if they thought Magnum was going to win, I do not think that anybody expected these extremely decisive results. So,
it was a surprise
before we end our before we end our election stream, we have one more guest coming in, Hambell. So just give us a moment, and Hambell will be arrived shortly. Okay, so we are back. I am now here with Hambell, who was a former running in the presidency and has since dropped out and endorsed Magnum. So Hambell, could you please explain to us why you ended up deciding to drop out and support Magnum, despite having such large support and quite a decisive victory at the debate?
So in my previous experience with elections, I have quite a few times where it's came down to a tie or a win by one vote. And I prefer much over Greek to have Magnum in the office. And I thought that if I was going to split the vote, that it might actually be a little bit closer. Seeing now with the post-election results, it clearly wasn't close. But I think I had something to do with that, especially in Minnesota.
Right, so it is widely known that you've been nominated to Magnum's cabinet. So what role have you done on the cabinet? And are you able to confirm what role you have in the cabinet? And if you are, what are your plans for that role?
All right, so I decided to take the role of Secretary of Transportation. With my plans, I've been working on a grand infrastructure plan along with other people in the NAPAC. We're all working together on a grand infrastructure plan that will connect all of the United States and potentially, across America. And confirmed to be the Secretary of Transportation.
All right, thank you. So, as our last question, we want to ask of the origin of the popular term "Sleepy Greek." Do you crown that term yourself? What happened with it?
See, I don't crown that term myself. I'll actually hand the crown over to Jartavius. He was talking in the chat, and he suggested that I say Sleepy Greek because it sounds like he's sleepy. And it was a popular hit. So I give the attribution to Jartavius.
All right, well, thank you for your interview.
No, thank you.
That is all for this interview tonight. And we'll be right back with our conclusion.
All right, let's switch over to the electoral map, and then we will conclude this live stream very shortly.
All right, we are back. So, as I've said previously tonight, these results are extremely decisive. We saw a Magnum landslide. This is the most decisive results in the history of our nation, with him getting nearly 90% of the vote. So as our final conclusion remarks, I'm going to be asking everybody in the YouTube chat, what do you think of this election? I'm going to be reading some responses to let the people have a voice. Are you happy with the results? Do you think that Magnum will make a good president? So I'm going to start reading the chat now. We have a response from Orange Juice Moose, who says "Sleepy Greek," the popular slogan from Hambell that was previously mentioned. So we have some hashtags of "Not My President." Somebody is chanting USA. Somebody's saying they're a big fan. Skeptile, the results for Yan Mayen were counted in the results for all of Minnesota, as Minnesota as a state contains the Minnesota Nation and Yan Mayen, so those results were lumped into Minnesota. All right, so from the city of Newark and our new election skyscraper that we are currently in, this concludes our election night. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. And huge thanks to Apple Soup for making this video possible.
Yes, and
Sleepy Greek!
I just want to thank you, Big Red, for agreeing to commentate tonight. And I just want to thank all of you for joining in on the live stream through all of the technical difficulties, through all of the things that I should have muted when they weren't. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next election. Have a good night.
Have a good night.